Memories are an interesting thing. It almost seems completely random what our brains choose to remember and what they choose to forget. You could be in the middle of an exam and not remember the important equation that you studied just yesterday that is imperative to completing, but you remember certain moments from your childhood with clarity. You could be defusing a bomb and forget how to do it right, but you do remember every line of dialogue from the Dead Parrot sketch. Yeah, thanks, brain. This'll definitely come in handy later. There are certain memories that stick with you more clearly than others. The moments where you're happy, sad, angry, and of course, friggin' terrified. To me, the scary moments are the most interesting. These moments can leave a lasting impression throughout your childhood and have you reflecting on them years later in therapy. Or in my case, have me making a video about them. I was actually inspired to make this video a few years ago when Your Movie Sucks made his childhood trauma series and a few other YouTubers jumped on that bandwagon, but I couldn't think of 10 separate entries. Until now. Please note that this is entirely opinion-based and isn't meant to be an objective end-all list of scariest moments. I understand that what scared me in my childhood might not have scared others. Hell, in many cases, others may not have even seen the films, shows, and music videos that I watched. So don't come in the comments like, "Wow, you were scared by that? Didn't know you were a f***ing wimp when you were 5 years old." Don't do that. With all that said, here are the top 10 most horrifying moments from my childhood. Now for the purposes of this list, we'll be ascending in order of impact, and we'll gradually get scarier as we go on. That said, as an adult, number 10 might actually be the scariest one. We all know this movie, right? It's a classic. Great visuals, amazing comedy, and probably the only time you'll ever see Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse on screen together. It's cool stuff. It's also the source of nightmare fuel for a lot of people. Although Judge Doom himself was not as scary to me as he was to others. By this point, I was familiar with the concept of actors playing characters, and my parents had told me that he was played by the same guy as Doc Brown, so that helped. But there was one scene he was in that did freak me out. This is where he introduces the dip. In this world, toons are impervious. They can be flattened, shot, and seemingly destroyed, but they always come back in classic toon fashion. But the dip is the one thing that can kill them.
Remember how we always thought there wasn't a way to kill a toon? Well, Doom found the way. Turpentine, acetone, benzene.
And he demonstrates the effectiveness of the dip on an innocent cartoon shoe in a scene that still gives me the chills.
Then I'll try him, convict him, and execute him.
This is friggin' terrifying for a kid's movie. Not the least because it's basically an on-screen murder. No, not even a murder. This is a torture sequence, complete with what is supposed to be ink but clearly looks like blood. I've always believed in the power of animation to convey emotion, and this is one of the scenes that proves it. This shoe is so innocent. It's squealing like a little puppy. The poor thing just wanted to be friends. Look at the agony in its eyes. This low-key makes me want to apologize to my own shoes. I am so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry if I've ever mistreated you. I'm sorry I walk over you all the time. I'm even sorry that I don't wear you in my videos. Real talk, I film 99% of these videos barefoot. I need to scroll the script somehow. A terrifying scene and a good start for the list.
This is how we handle things down in Toontown. I think you of all people would appreciate that.
Going from one type of animation to another, when I was a kid, I loved the Wallace and Gromit shorts. Well, the first 3 at least. I haven't actually seen any of the later ones. There was something special about the adventures of this clueless inventor and his dog who was arguably smarter than he. Side note, I'm actually quite the fan of Aardman animations in general. Did you know that they made the music video for Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer? Weird. Now as a kid, I tended to stick with the first short, A Grand Day Out. After all, I was really into space growing up, if you couldn't tell by my username. Plus, it was the most lighthearted of the 3. I also enjoyed the second short, The Wrong Trousers, in which many of the original elements were refined. However, there was something about the third short, A Close Shave, that always made me avoid it. Okay, what do I want to watch today? Grand Day Out? Wrong Trousers? Oh no, I don't know about this one, man. I think I'll just go with the Grand Day Out. That's always a good bet. So, what about it is so scary? I mean, it starts normal enough. Wallace and Gromit are window washers, there are some gags with Wallace's inventions, and Wallace falls for a shopkeeper named Windoline, but then we meet Preston.
This is Preston, my dog.
Right from the beginning, there's something about this dog that is just so off-putting, from the shakiness of Windoline's voice when she introduces him, to the fact that he is first shown walking on two legs and reading a newspaper. Aside from Gromit, we don't see many other dogs that behave that much like humans, and even Gromit himself mostly walks on all fours. And then there's that stare, that expressionless face, and those dead, unblinking eyes that pierce right into your soul. Yeah, Gromit doesn't have a mouth, but he still manages to be super expressive. Between his eyes and his ears, we always know exactly what Gromit is thinking at any given moment, which just makes Preston even more unnerving. And the menacing music that plays every time Preston appears doesn't help either. This comes to a head at the end when he gets sucked into the shaving machine and it's revealed
Preston is a cyber dog.
Cyber? What?
A robot.
Yup, that shot haunted me for a while. The way this scene is paced is absolutely ingenious from a filmmaking perspective, as it is done exactly like a horror movie. The reveal of Preston's true form is also a clever homage to Terminator. Of course, when I was a young child, I couldn't appreciate any of that because I wasn't exactly thinking rationally, and the concept of a large robot dog that wanted to eat people was naturally scary to me. Now the rest of the scene switches to the usual Wallace and Gromit silliness, and it's quite entertaining how Shaun the Sheep eventually does defeat him. Obviously, none of this is scary to me today, and A Close Shave is now probably my favorite Wallace and Gromit short. Hey, isn't this a music review channel? Shouldn't I be talking about something music related? Oh yeah! First of all, rest in peace to the legendary Chris Cornell. His singing voice was truly one of a kind. That said, Soundgarden's classic hit Black Hole Sun will forever hold a place in my heart, if not for the song itself, then for the music video. I remember watching this back in the early days of YouTube, and I will never forget the first time I saw it. Right off the bat, the guitar chords convey an uncanny mood. I was learning about chord structure at the time, and these were pretty unsettling. Back then, I mostly only knew about standard chord inversions, so while these seem like typical jazz chords to my present-day self, back then they were plain ominous. But you aren't here for music theory discussion, are you? Nah, we all know why you're here. Play it!
In my eyes, indisposed, in disguises no one knows.
I'm sorry, I can't do that. I can't do creepy smiling. What if I filmed the entire video like this? Would you like it? It's just so unsettling in a way that's difficult to describe why it's unsettling. I don't know how you make a mother playing with her baby look terrifying, but, well, they did it.
Till you all just disappear.
And even when they aren't smiling, the actions that they're doing are so weird. Like this girl eating ice cream while a Barbie doll is melting in a barbecue grill in front of her. Or this woman who seems to be enjoying being licked by her dog a bit too much. Some of these smiles were clearly digitally manipulated, which was much scarier back when YouTube videos were still only 240p, trust me.
Black hole sun, won't you come?
When the black hole sun does finally come and suck the people in, I feel no sorrow. Good riddance, I say. But even then it won't let us off, as people seem to be eagerly flocking to the black hole as if they want to get sucked in. Needless to say, it's creepy. There's also a remastered version of it with improved effects, but in my opinion, it looks a bit faker. Nothing will beat the original. Speaking of CGI, you know what movie I loved when I was a kid? Toy Story. Yeah, big shocker, right? I'm a guy born in the 90s who absolutely adores Toy Story, the film that launched Pixar on a near 10-movie run of absolute gold and currently holds a rare 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes? What? I think it's safe to say, it's a classic. But why am I mentioning it here? There's nothing in the movie itself that's particularly scary. Well, the moment I'm talking about isn't in the movie, it's at the beginning. My copy of Toy Story came with an animated short at the beginning titled Tin Toy, a much earlier short that apparently served as the inspiration for Toy Story. I can see the similarities. As per the title, it's about a toy made of tin whose name is Tinny. Yeah, real creative there, guys. So he's just standing there, minding his own business, when all of a sudden... This baby is friggin' terrifying! This was made in 1988, and you can tell. I think the baby was intended to be a bit scary, judging by how he's essentially a kaiju and compared to the size of the toys, but I don't think he was meant to be this scary. The baby's face looks like it's simultaneously 7 months old and 77 years old. I don't know if its uncanny nature was due to the limited capabilities of CGI at the time, the fact that Pixar hadn't yet found their own style and was trying for something more realistic, or a combination of the two factors. And don't even get me started on the baby's janky movements. For some reason, humans psychologically feel a sense of fear whenever something is slightly off, as shown with the last two entries, and the jolted movements brought to life by early CGI certainly gave me that same sense. If you think about it, several horror movies intentionally use the same technique to great effect. Don't smile, dude! Get out of there! I remember when I was a kid, I'd always try to fast forward past this short, but I'd never quite make it all the way. Before making this video, I asked people on Twitter and Discord to make sure I wasn't the only one who found this baby so scary. And yeah, this baby creeped out an entire generation. Also, I looked it up, and apparently this baby's name is Billy. Huh.
Bill's got a gun. He's on the run.
And I also read that the reason Pixar's first two films focused primarily on non-human characters like toys, monsters, and animals is because humans were notoriously difficult to render, whereas the non-human characters could look distanced enough without our brains jumping to the uncanny valley. Even in Toy Story itself, you can sense how anxious the movie is to avoid using Andy in a shot. There's a reason why the only human the film goes out of its way to spend time with is Sid, who's supposed to be terrifying. They finally figured it out by the time The Incredibles was released, and even before then managed to make a significantly less terrifying baby in Monsters, Inc. And good thing, too. Otherwise, I doubt that film would be as well received as it was. Now, most of this has been kid-friendly stuff so far, but the next one's a bit more debatable, so I want to ask you guys, should I have been watching Star Trek when I was 8? In my opinion, yes, because it was awesome. As I said, I loved everything space-related back then, so when my parents showed me Star Trek, it was a welcome addition. And quite convenient, given that they already had several tapes of the original series. I enjoyed the original series quite a lot, though I couldn't comprehend why Kirk would always wind up with a new girlfriend at the end of each episode. But that didn't matter, because space! When it came to Star Trek The Next Generation, everything was improved from the original series. The writing, the effects, the characters, and of course, the threats. There's one episode of TNG Season 3 that messed me up, and I bet most of you know exactly which episode I'm talking about. The Best of Both Worlds Part 1 was the Season 3 finale and the first episode to heavily feature the Borg. The concept of an entire race of cyborgs who forcefully assimilate other species and erase all individualism is scary enough. Combine that with their designs and their catchphrase, which is just lovely.
Resistance is futile.
Rewatching this episode, I realized just how little I remembered about it. There's a subplot about Riker being offered to leave the Enterprise and become captain of his own ship. And then there's the character of Lieutenant Commander Shelby, who appears in this two-parter as a competitor for Riker's position and never appears again after this. I assume both of them were put in this episode in case Patrick Stewart's contract ran out and he left the show, but these subplots don't add a whole lot to it. What I do remember are scenes like this.
Magnify.
I don't really think you need to magnify to tell if that's a Borg cube. It looks pretty clear as it is. Holy crap, it's the Borg! I see now why you magnified. That reveal was awesome! Another scary aspect of the Borg is how they're practically impossible to defeat. If you ever encounter a Borg ship, you might as well give up right then. They'll instantly match your shield frequency, lock a tractor beam on you, and your weapons will most likely be useless against them.
Their subspace field is intact.
Reverse engines.
Full reverse. We're not moving.
Pilot well.
Whoa, Captain, what the hell? What'd I do to you, man? F*** you. Then they bust through the shields and kidnap Captain Picard, and I basically remember the rest of the episode scene for scene.
My culture is based on freedom and self-determination.
Freedom is irrelevant. You must comply.
We would rather die.
Death is irrelevant.
Oh, and now they're immortal too. Great, that's just perfect. But the moment that sticks in my head has to be when the crew invades the Borg cube and, well...
Oh god, he's aboard! Well, we lost! Abort! Abort! Abort!
This reveal scared the piss out of me as a kid. I didn't have cable growing up, so this was the first series I really followed, and up until that point, nothing major happened to the main characters, especially not Picard. And to make matters even worse, guess how it ends?
Your life, as it has been, is over. From this time forward, you will service us. Mr. Worf. Fire.
Yeah, it went there. All that, and it ended on a cliffhanger. To make matters worse, the video rental store that we were renting from had the second part of this episode rented out for at least a week after that. I didn't know how TV seasons worked at the time, and to be honest, I still don't entirely. So for at least a week, I legitimately thought that the series ended with Picard being turned into a Borg. And a week is a long time when you're a kid! When we did finally watch The Best of Both Worlds Part 2, it was a huge relief. That episode wasn't as scary as this one, though it did have this scene of Picard still being awake enough to shed a tear during his assimilation, which certainly stuck with me. There's a reason The Best of Both Worlds has been hailed as one of the best episodes of TNG. It has high stakes, a terrifying enemy, and that bastard of a cliffhanger. Don't worry about Picard, by the way, he's alright.
Well, that's the end of this video, but tune in next time when we look at the latter half of the list and things get really scary.
Will Spaceman conquer the scariest moment from his childhood? What secrets lurk in his memory? And will he finally prove he's not such a wimp for being scared of these moments? Tune in next time for the less than thrilling conclusion!
Wait, less than thrilling? What do you mean less than thrilling? You realize I can hear everything you're saying, right? And... wait, did you just call me a wimp? What the hell? Who even are you?